Hello everybody and welcome to another video. So, faction focuses are kicking off, and as expected we're going to be jumping into Stormcast Eternals first. So grab a brew, get comfortable, and let's see what the new edition has in store for the Golden Boys. So Games Workshop have dropped the first of the Faction Fortress articles, and it's on the Stormcast Eternals. If you're new to Age of Sigmar and you're coming from games like Heresy or 40k, think of a Stormcast Eternal as a fantasy space marine. They never used to really be. The Games Workshop very much tried to give them their own identity, but as the game has advanced through the years, they've become more and more space marine like. So expect a lot of hitting on threes, wounding on threes, and a lot of 3 and 2 up armor saves in the army. If you want an elite army, this is definitely an army for you. They're basically space marines in fantasy, and they've a lot of information in this article to chew through. So we'll jump in straight away with the battle traits. So this is basically how your army is going to operate. Every army will have a number of battle traits. So Stormcast Eternals obviously have quite a few, and it's mainly building around the Celestial Realm and the Scions of the Storm, sort of precision strike type thing. So in the deployment phase, they can use the Celestial Realm. So if you have more friendly Stormcast Eternal units on the battlefield than there are set up in reserve, so in the Celestial Realm, then you can pick one friendly Stormcast Eternals unit and put it into the Celestial Realm, and then that counts as it being deployed. So you can kind of do a little bit of shenanigans with your deployment to sort of bait out your opponent a little bit when they're deployment as well. So you've got a once per battle ability which costs 1 CP. I'm going to assume that that's what that little one in the little icon in the top corner is. So you pick a friendly non-unique Stormcast Eternals infantry or cavalry unit that started the battle with 2 or more models and that has been destroyed to be the target. So you're basically going to pay 1 CP once per battle in your movement phase, and you're going to be able to bring that unit back onto the battlefield at half strength, and you can deploy them anywhere on the battlefield as long as they're more than 9 inches from all enemy units. That's a pretty powerful ability for 1 CP. So in your movement phase, you've got Scions of the Storm. So this is obviously your deep strike. You're sort of dropping from the heavens on your big bolt of lightning, kind of like Thor 2, as you see at the beginning of the movie. So pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals unit that's in the Celestial Realm, so set off the table. And effects, you set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Now, it will be interesting to see if the Lord Imperator still has the ability that you can ignore that rule and drop in within 7 inches, because that kind of was what his bag was sort of being able to bring in a unit a little bit closer, so you're going to get a 7-inch charge rather than a 9-inch charge. So you also have another ability which is once per turn, army-wide, and in your hero phase, you pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals unit that has not used this ability, this battle, to use this ability. So you can pretty much do this once per turn. The effects is for the rest of that turn, you add 1 to the wound rolls for that unit's combat attacks, and add 1 to the saving rolls for that unit. So this is the old hero action from 3rd edition that's now being given to Stormcast Eternals as an army-wide ability that can be actually done once per turn. So it's going to be quite nice that you can do it on any unit. Doesn't necessarily have to be a hero. So it's going to be really quite strong and quite powerful. So you're going to have obviously battle formations. Again, if you're coming in from 40k, they're detachments. They're literally, this is exactly what they are. They're Space Marine detachments, or detachments as a whole. So they kind of give us a couple of names here. We've got the Thunder Host, the Lightning Echelon, and the Sentinels of the Bleak Citadel. Obviously, the Sentinels of the Bleak Citadel is going to be the new one, because that's all about the new Ruination Chamber and the new models and everything else that are coming into the Stormcast Eternals. So the Sentinels of the Bleak Citadels has a once per turn army wide rule that is done in the hero phase. You pick a friendly Ruination Chamber unit. So if it's got the Ruination Chamber keyword, and the effect is they get a 5-up ward save for the rest of that turn. That's pretty solid. It's quite a nice little rule. So their centuries of death and resurrection might cost the ruination chambers their memories and passions, but their ancient aura and storm-charged energies let them shrug off physical attacks and spells by granting them a 5-up ward. Each faction pack also has 3 heroic traits and 3 artifacts of power. That's also really good to know. They can be taken by any hero, adding extra layers of flexibility and tactical choice to your list building. So at least we know that the faction packs are going to at least come with some sort of substance rather than just one detachment and that's it. So the arcane incantation. So for priests, they're going to be able to get blessed weapons. So you pick one friendly Stormcast Eternals priest to chant this prayer, and then you pick a visible Stormcast Eternals unit, infantry unit, wholly within 12 inches, and then roll a d6 for the chanting roll. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of the target's melee weapon until the start of the next turn, and if the chanting roll was 12 plus, this ability affects all visible Stormcast Eternal units within 12 inches. That's really, really good. Especially coupled it in with Finest Hour as well. You can get pretty much +1 attack, +1 to wound, and +1 to your save going in. That's pretty nasty combination. So we're going to go into some unit focuses, and they've given us quite a few war scrolls to pick over. And we're going to have Krondus first, and he's a bit of a big boy. So he's got 12-inch move with 20 health, pretty good. 3-up armor save and a control of 5. He's a big giant dragon, so kind of expect that. His Blazing Tempest attack, he's got a 12-inch range, 1 attack, hits on a 2, wounds on a 3, has 2 rend, and it does d3 plus 3 damage, and can shoot in combat, which is pretty scary. His melee weapons, he has a passive ability on the Apex Maw, which is while the unit has 10 or more damage points, the attack's characteristics of its Maw is 2. So that's kind of nice. Well, not really. So it kind of this is obviously the new damage table for monsters. So if you cause 10 damage to it, then he's going to lose 2 attacks, which is okay. It's going to hit on 3s. It's going to wound on 2s. It's got 2 rend and 4 damage, and he's anti-infantry as well. So you're going to be like rend 3 against infantry. So you should be able to mow a lot of stuff down quite easily. He has a passive ability that he always adds 2 to casting rolls when he goes to do his spells. And he has a once per turn army-wide in any combat phase. So you pick an enemy unit in combat that is with this unit to be the target, and then roll a dice on a 3+. The target cannot use commands for the rest of this turn. That's really, really strong. And in your hero phase, you have a spell which has a casting value of 8, I believe. And you can pick a friendly unit within 18 inches of the caster, and then you make a casting roll on 2d6. Obviously, you've got +2 to that, so you're going to only need a 6 on 2 dice. Pick one of the following effects to apply to the target until the start of your next turn. So you can either pick Blinding Gale, so subtract 1 from hit rolls from the target's attacks, or you can go Meteor Hail, so subtract 1 from rend characteristics of the target weapon, or you can go Flash Freezing Blizzard and subtract 1 from the saving rolls for the target. So if you couple this in with your buffed up unit with Finest Hour and the Prayer with Blessed Weapons, and then you start really sort of messing around with your enemy saves as well, you can really sort of rinse that unit quite quickly. He has obviously the keyword, he's a War Master, he's unique, he's a hero, he's a monster, he's a wizard too, and he flies, and he's obviously Order and Stormcast Eternals. So everyone's favourite winged lady, Yndrasta, the poster girl of 3rd edition, is here in 4th. So she has a movement of 12, she has 8 health, a 3-up save, 2 control, and her spear is a 12-inch range with 1 attack, hitting on a 3, wounding on a 2, 2-up rend, 4 damage, and she has anti-monster +1 rend, obviously, for both her ranged and melee attacks. In close combat, she'll be doing 2 attacks with her spear, and then 5 attacks with her sword. Spear is going to hit on 2, wound on 2s, 2 rend, and 3 damage, and it has the anti-monster rule. And then the sword is got 5 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 3s, -2 rend, 3 damage a pop. So she's pretty tasty in close combat. She has a passive ability that double the damage characteristic of the unit Thingav for the attacks that target monsters. Wow, that's seriously good. Yeah, I'm interested to see what she does going anywhere near Scarbrand, and if Scarbrand gets the more damage you do to him, the more scarier he gets, because that would be kind of cool. But double the characteristics of this unit's weapon against target monsters. So she's basically going to be either doing 8 damage at ranged, or she's going to be doing 6 damage in close combat. That's pretty good. Hopefully that'll be really kind of handy to take down Gargants and Mega Gargants and stuff. So that's kind of nice. So she has a passive ability, so you add 1 to the number of dice rolls when making charge rolls for this unit to a maximum of 3. Cool. And she has another passive ability called Dazzling Radiance, so you ignore any negative modifiers to the control scores of friendly Stormcast Eternal units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So that's really strong as well. She has lost the healing and things like that she used to do. But now to sort of give control, it's quite nice. Be interesting to see what Bastalan does, because he was kind of sort of the same sort of points cost as Yndrasta back in 3rd edition. So yeah, it would be quite interesting. And she's also a War Master. She's unique. She's a hero. She's infantry. She flies. She has a 5-up ward. She used to have a 4-up ward, so that's now a 5-up. And she's Order and Stormcast Eternals. Interesting. So we got the Knight Arcanum next. So it moves 5, it has 6 health, 3-up save, and it has a control of 2. And it basically has a little staff that does 3 attacks, hits on 3s, wound on 3s, which I think is pretty much going to be your standard profile for most Stormcast Eternals. Rend 1, D3 damage, and it's anti-manifestation. So, you know, you want this model to run up to endless spells and basically kill them. So you can add 1 to casting rolls for this unit when it is used to summon an ability, and add 1 to banishing rolls for this unit. Really, really cool. And each manifestation, enemy manifestation cannot pass through or end any move within this unit's combat range unless they started that move within this unit's combat range. So what that means is your opponent can't move manifestations within 3 inches of this model. That's really good, especially considering that this model is literally anti-manifestations. So this unit also has a 4-up ward against mortal damage inflicted by manifestations. So I've got a feeling that you're going to see a lot of Knight Arcanums in armies, especially now that the way that manifestations have changed a lot in 4th edition, and they're no longer cost points, and everyone's pretty much going to take them if they can. I already know in my city's army, if I can get access to some cheap wizards, I'm going to be bringing a few to at least get some manifestations out. It's a hero, it's a wizard 1, so 1 cast wizard. It's an infantry, it's Order, Stormcast Eternals, and Warrior Chamber. So everyone's favourite big boys, the Annihilators. They're a 2-up save, just like normal. They've got a movement of 4, 3 health, they control 1, and they have had a number of interesting changes. So they've still got 3 attacks, they hit on 3s, wound on 3s. Again, standard stat line for a Stormcast now. Rend 1 and 2 damage. No abilities on their weapons, but they do have any charge phase, so they've got Brace for Impact. So you pick an enemy unit that charged this turn, and in its combat with this unit to be the target, you roll the dice for each model in this unit. So you've got probably going to have a unit of 3 at the minimum. If any of the rolls are 6, the target has strike last for the rest of the turn. That is so good. So good. So Blazing Impact, you declare if this unit is set up using the Signs of the Storm, pick 3 enemy units within 10 inches, and then you roll a d3, and then on a 2+, so that is basically a 3+ on a d6, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. So I've seen a lot of people online getting a little bit confused about how this rule works. It's really simple. It's a d3. So obviously we don't have d3 dice. We have 6-sided dice, and we use d3s, d6s to do the d3. So basically a 1 and a 2 on a d6 is a 1, a 3 and a 4 is a 2, and a 5 and a 6 is a 3. Okay, so you need a 2+ on a d3, so you basically need to roll a 3+ on a d6. It sounds confusing, but you can get used to it after a while. So if you roll a 2+, and then that's how much damage you're going to do, okay? So essentially what you're really wanting to do to get the full maximum 3 mortal damage now, because it's not mortal wounds, you want essentially a 5+. And we've got a couple of little things from the studio, and if anyone is interested, we can have a little look at the Spearhead stuff. So obviously Spearhead has entirely different war scrolls because it's an entirely different game. So the prosecutors in Spearhead have a 3-up save, they've got 2 health, they move 12, they've got a control of 1, they've got their javelins, and they've got their in close combat and in ranged, and they have sort of like dumbed down abilities. But we can kind of get an idea of what these are going to do in the larger game outside of Spearhead. So this unit has a coherency range of 2 inches rather than 1, obviously because they've got wings, you can't get them together. And when this makes a charge roll for this unit, you add 1 to the dice rolls. I've got a feeling that these abilities are pretty much going to be there in the main game outside of Spearhead. And their attacks and stuff will probably be the same as well. And then we have the Vigilant Brotherhood for the reinforcement. So you pick a friendly unit, and until the start of the next turn, that unit has a 5-up ward. And then Storm Charge, you can pick a friendly unit not in combat. That unit can then use the charge ability this turn, even if it used a run ability in the same turn, which is pretty solid. So that is the Stormcast Eternals. I would imagine that the next one will be Skaven, seeing that they are in the box as well. But yeah, Stormcast Eternals looking pretty strong. Some nice abilities. I'm interested to see what the other 2 chambers have, detachments, and see what they actually do. There's some pretty good combinations already, but just by what it's shown you. And I've got a feeling that Stormcast are going to be pretty solid when they come out. Their battle tome is probably going to give us, I would say there's probably going to be about 6 chambers to pick from. And they'll probably specialize in different sort of aspects of the Stormcast army. So you'll probably get one that'll be around built around the theme of the Warrior Chamber. We've already seen the Ruination Chamber. There'll be one for the Extremis Chamber, so the Cavalry, the Dragons. There'll probably be another one for like the Vanguard, because it does mention the Vanguard in this article. So lots of the Vanguard Hunters, the Raptors, stuff like that. So your scouting element of your army. And then there'll probably be one centered around either magic or priest as well. But all in all, they look pretty good. There's some different changes in some of the units. Some things have gone away, but some things have also got really better. Yndrasta looks very scary against monsters. And yeah, all in all, pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the factions have got. So if you like what I do, please like, subscribe, share, and do all that jazz. And you can check out my members area and my Patreon as well. And if you want to help other ways, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next faction focus.